session. So I will share on the screen the Menti activity. So please join menti.com with the code on the screen and share with our guest speakers like 2 questions. The first one about your studying year and then your studying major so that all the guest speakers can know more about you. Okay, so okay. So we have the code on the screen 91498006. So if in case if you cannot join the Menti, so please feel free to type the question, I mean like the answers in the chat box as well. So which year are you in? Okay.
No, I just want to check it. And there's 2 lights, like 2 red lights. I just keep on the camera.
Okay, so I see more students joining in. So around 30% are second year student, final year student, and we also have around 20% alumni. Okay. Mm. So next question, please. So what is your field of study? What is your major? Mm. So here we have a lot of majors. We have digital marketing, we have digital business, we have international business, economics and finance, supply chain management. So many majors. So if a lot of people joining in with the same major, so the words will become bigger. Okay. Yeah, so I will keep this question in around 30 seconds more. We also have tourism and hospitality, logistics. Wow, a lot of digital marketing students, profcom, professional communication. All right, so thank you so much for joining and sharing your backgrounds with our guest speakers. So I will stop the Menti activity here and I'm going to welcome on the guest speaker. But before we start the session, so I have some rules, some reminder things for you. First one, so please stay muted. So back to after when we have the Q&A session, so please feel free to unmute yourself and ask. But during the time our guest speaker is presenting, so please turn off your mic. And please also turn off the video to help us to make sure we have the best quality for the session. Okay. And the last one is do not record the video from your end because we will record the video and we'll send to you later on after this meeting. So we also have the check-in form. So please spare your time to also submit some information because after this meeting, Unilever will also use your email and your numbers to follow up with you later on with other process. Okay. All right, so won't keep your time anymore. So I would like to send the thank you for all the guest speakers to join the session today. I would like to welcome Ms. Ngân, Mr. Sebastian, Mr. Nhân, and also Mr. Trung from Unilever. And please also, like send them a heart or, like some thumb up to welcome all of them. Okay, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thanh, and hello everyone. Hope you can hear me well. If you can hear me well, just feel free to drop a note onto the chat box so that we can ensure that all of the internet connection is stable. So in the meantime, I will just share my screen. So allow me just a couple of minutes. So before we start the session, so let me just share with you a very quick video about Unilever. So hope that this video will kick off our mood a little bit more for this afternoon section. Please enjoy the video then.
Every you does good. Every lick, every smile, every squeeze, every style, every bubble, every rub, every pore, every scrub. Ooh, shiny. Every you does good. Every you does good. Every spin, every spray, every body, every day. Every Dove teaches girls self-esteem. Every Domestos provides safer toilets in schools. Every No supports sustainable farming. Every you does good. Unilever.
Oh, hello everyone, and hope the video that I just shared with you just for 60 seconds help you to remind of all of the brands and activities that we are having here at Unilever Vietnam. And this is my very honor to represent the team to join you in this webinar later this afternoon. So even though the section is named as Build Your Asset the Future, I think the video that I just shared with you is capture all of the essence that we want to share with you. Every you does good. So there's something good at each of us, and we then today will discover the goodness in each of us throughout the story of Unilever and find out whether we have a good career for you ahead here at Unilever Vietnam. Just before we start in the section, I would like to also introduce our today's guest speaker. We will have a chance to meet all of our guest speakers a little bit later in the panel discussion after a little bit of the sharing about the company. So just you can see on the screen, and we will have a chance to know a little bit more about our guest speaker later on. But it is really my honor to be able to invite all of the guest speakers to join in with me today. So chị Ngân is currently head of procurement in Unilever Vietnam. She was the Unilever Future Leaders Program in 2008, and hope that you're already aware of Unilever Future Leaders Program, the recruitment program that we are currently opening. If not, then we will have a chance to share with you a little bit more through our sharing. Chị Ngân is actually currently the student at RMIT Master of Global Trade. So definitely she knows a lot about RMIT student as well. We have Mr. Sebastian. He's currently a senior finance business partner manager for home care. So I realized a lot of students are studying international business and management. So why not you discover a little bit more about finance and corporate finance in Unilever through the sharing of Mr. Sebastian. And then we have Anh Nhân Mai, a very dear friend of RMIT, I believe. You must have heard a lot about our good story about Mr. Nhân. Anh Nhân currently is Senior Brand Manager at Lifebuoy. He was also Unilever Future Leaders Program in 2016. And for myself, my name is Trung. I'm currently the HR Business Partner Manager for Unilever Vietnam, leading the aspect of learning, employee engagement, and employer branding. I also Unilever Future Leaders Program in 2013 and graduated from RMIT the same year at Bachelor of Business Marketing. Please don't ask me why I changed my career to HR. It's just a very funny story. Anyway, I will just spend the first 20 minutes to share with you a little bit about Unilever, the story of us, before we can entering the panel discussion where you can ask a lot about our selection process, as well as the company and the recruiting function that we are currently opening. I know that some of you already shared the questions to us, which we will cover through the panel discussion. But feel free throughout the whole sharing of us today. If you have any question, feel free to put it on the chat box or raise your hand, and then we can later address the question throughout our panel discussion. So hope it is okay for you. Before we start our sharing, let me just ask you something very, very easy. You know that Unilever, we have a lot of brands. Actually, currently we have more than 29, 30, or even more brands, depends on how you count. But I just put up some of the most common brands that we have here at Unilever on the screen. So if you have used at least one of these brands in the last 3 days, so just recalling your memory, starting from last Saturday, Sunday, and today, if you have used at least one of these brands, can you just comment on the chat box yes, and then which brand it is. We will pick up the 3 lucky winner to share a few gifts from Unilever, a voucher from our Unilever e-commerce shop, UShop. So if you can just, yes, I saw Lifebuoy, thank you very much. PS and Omo, Dove, thank you. So feel free, if you can recall at least a brand that you have used over the last 3 days, just feel free to comment on the chat box. And Sang, our coordinator from Unilever, will just recall on the name and pick up the 3 lucky winner from the randomized system to share the gift from Unilever with you. Close Up, Vaseline, Lifebuoy, and Lipton. Love Beauty and Planet, thank you very much, my beloved brand as well. Dove, Sunlight, Knorr, and Close Up. Thank you, thank you. Omo, of course. So just in case you haven't aware of, Mr. Young, one of our guest speakers today, has been working through one of the very famous brand of Unilever, including Lifebuoy and Omo. So, so feel free to ask Young later on about the experience he has with those beloved brands. Yes, thank you very much. So just a very, like small quiz and question to warm up our mood, and hopefully through our exercise, you can know a little bit more about Unilever. We actually house up many famous brands all over the world. But all of these brands are just, very simple brands that related to your everyday needs and everyday life. And I think that is also the essence of Unilever. We are not producing any, like fancy. We're just producing very common consumer goods. But all of these goods are helping to make sustainable living commonplace. And that is really the purpose and mission of Unilever. If you can, we going back a little bit of our history. So two, most famous brands of Unilever, and actually the founded brands of Unilever, which is Lifebuoy, not Lifebuoy at that time it's called Sunlight Hygiene Bar Soap. And, back then in the 18,000, 1900,000, a lot of disease happening just like nowadays, what we are experiencing nowadays. And it is really needed to call out the need for hygiene. And for that, Unilever with the brand Sunlight has been established and issued the very first bar soap in the world, selling for people and helping people easily access to hygiene and sanity. And I think that has always been one of the great essence of Unilever. Until now, there are more than 90 years from our merger acquisition from Unilever to a UK company like today called Unilever. Has been 19 years of doing good. And with all of the essence, we are one of the most famous consumer good FMCG company in the world, operating in more than 990 countries. And for what we really proud of is every day we have more than 2.5 billion consumers using our product. And I think that is the greatest impact everyone can think of. For Vietnam, even though we have more than 100, almost 200 countries where Unilever is operating, Vietnam is actually now the top 15 of the business of Unilever globally, indicating the role and the impact that Vietnam is currently making to the whole Unilever world, as well as for the talent who's working at Unilever Vietnam. For now, the company is sizing around 1 billion kind of the thing. And it's really a great pleasure for us to become one of the youngest billionaires all over the globe. And that has been one of the great things about Unilever Vietnam. I have a very busy slide with a lot of numbers over here, but I really don't want to talk through all of these numbers. I just want to sharing and mentioning with you the two figure that I'm really proud of. The first figure is the size of the business. Unilever Vietnam now currently operating with more than 1,500 employees. And that is only for Unilever, but we are creating more than 17,000 jobs for people in our value chain. And what we're really proud is that throughout the 2 years of pandemic, all of the 17,000 people in our value chain are keeping safe, healthy, and still having a secure job so that they can contribute to their livelihood for themselves and for their family. And I think that is the greatest impact that we can make. The second figure that we're really proud of is the figure of 99.5%. Our products are being used in any Vietnamese household as measured by Kantar Work Panel. So if you can imagine, if you walk into every household in Vietnam, very likely that you will find at least one product of Unilever, whether it is our Omo, Comfort, Vim, Lifebuoy, Clear, Vaseline. There's a lot of brands that we are currently operating. It is really proud of us to have the product being used in most of Vietnamese households. And I think that is the greatest achievement that we can have. Throughout the history, even though Unilever Vietnam has just been established since 1996, since 1995, we have having a very long history in Vietnam, being recognized as one of the most successful company as well as one of the most successful sustainable business in Vietnam. And for recent year, we're also very pioneering in the area of digital marketing, as you can see from the MMA award. Unfortunately, from 2019 onwards, we decided not participating into the MMA local award anymore to allowing room for local organization to compete. And then we also currently we are actually embarking on a new journey, whereas we're promoting a lot about plastic and also about gender empowerment. So just a few things about Unilever, and I guess that we can have a chance to discover a little bit more about all of these things later on in the sharing as well as throughout the conversation with the panelists. So what makes the success of Unilever? I think there's so many people can think of the Unilever as a big company. And even for myself, when I was in RMIT back then in 2012, 2013, I have never thought that I will fall in love with Unilever, to be honest. But then the opportunities comes, and then I interact with the company. The more I interact, the more I fell in love with all of the essence and the belief that we have at Unilever. And I think that three belief here is actually what form of Unilever. We believe that brands with purpose will grow, company with purpose will last, and finally, people with purpose will thrive. So for brand with purpose, I guess that you can imagine from the video that we have at the very beginning, every you does good. Every dove can have girls boosting their self-esteem. And that is our ambition. We believe that all of our brands here at Unilever have a purpose, and we are on the journey of discovering what is that purpose and how can we realize that purpose every day. There are actually one very unique brands here at Unilever that contributing a lot to the purposeful journey throughout the last 2 years. And not only about purpose, it's also about helping the community fighting COVID-19 pandemic. I have one video here that I borrowed from Anh Nhân, which I will share with you right now. And hopefully the video can help you understand a little bit more about our brand with purpose as well as our work in digital marketing.
The fourth wave of COVID in Vietnam has been the most severe yet. The Ministry of Health has dedicated tremendous efforts into creating the 5K message to keep the outbreak under control. However, the message proved to be ineffective due to its complexity. Lifebuoy, in an exclusive partnership with the Ministry of Health, wanted to transform the 5K into a national conversation. The 5K message was also transformed into an addictive jingle that consumers can memorize in seconds. The song and accompanying dance became a sensation and were broadcasted on national news channels. Just as progress was being realized, another challenge emerged. Fake news reports about COVID-19 outbreaks were flooding the country, causing great confusion to Vietnamese people everywhere. To mitigate the spread of fake news, Lifebuoy created a bot that collected outbreak information across districts in real time through the Ministry of Health's portal. This information triggered the creation of dynamic creatives, which were then pushed to every citizen in Vietnam through the hyperlocation targeting mechanism. The first ever COVID hyper alert system was born. It incorporated the purpose-led message, "One Lifebuoy bought, one Lifebuoy donated." This resulted in more than 1.2 million products donated from the community, and the campaign has benefited more than 14 million citizens in Vietnam. The COVID alert system generated an engagement rate 15 times higher than benchmark. The 5K dance song generated 500,000 search queries, an engagement rate 37 times greater than benchmark, and more than 10 billion dong worth of publicity from PR and news networks. TV stations across the country have picked up the song and broadcasted it as educational content. Lifebuoy's market share hit an all-time high of 92%, and e-commerce sales were uplifted by 179%. We, as Vietnamese citizens, have won so many wars in the past, and we will win this war against COVID-19, empowered with the 5K weapon.
So I hope the video can help capturing one of the things that you probably have also experienced. I know that the last 2 years, and especially the fourth wave of COVID-19 pandemic, is really difficult for us to experience. But I think for every company, there's always a way for us to fighting. And for us at Unilever, that is using our brands, all of the brands with hygiene and other stuff that we are doing here at Unilever to help fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. And Lifebuoy is just one of the very great examples that we have. Of course, there are so many other brands participating into this whole journey. You probably have also heard about Omo, Vim, and so many other brands. But I just would like to pick up Lifebuoy over here so that you can understand what we have done over the last few months to help the government fighting with the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think that is also one of the work that you were going to do once you join Unilever, whether as an employee or as a Unilever Future Leaders Program. So ask more Young about that at a later stage. I'm moving to the next pillar, the next belief of Unilever. We believe that company with purpose will last. Unilever, the FMCG industry is an industry that stays for the long run, because all of the product is really, like part of all of our essential goods that we have in our daily life. But you imagine with the scale that almost every household in Vietnam are using the product, definitely there's a question comes to your mind whether this company also do something harm for the environment. And I guess the answer is definitely no, we don't want to be that company that growing the business and damaging the environment. The sustainability agenda of Unilever has always been one of the greatest achievement of Unilever globally. Not only that we has been ranked at a very sustainable supply chain by Gartner, but also there are so many concrete numbers that I just don't want to going through all of the thing here with you. But basically, we intention that Unilever from now until 2039, we're committed to a path of net zero carbon emission, meaning that we will produce zero carbon emission to the environment through our whole supply chain and operation. One of the few things that we have done, and we actually, are very proud of having, is that all of our factories here and also our operation in Vietnam and also globally is using renewable electricity and renewable fuel as well. So I know that some of our students joining the call today are also from supply chain. So you probably have heard about all of these things. So it's really proud for Unilever to be pioneering in renewable fuels in the factory over the last few years, and just recently also renewable electricity. Many of you have also been heard about the issue of plastic waste, and we know that we, as like Generation Z and also environmental friendly consumer, we hate plastic. But we have to recognize that plastic does play a very critical role in the operation. So the work for us is how to ensure that all of our plastic is actually safe for the environment. Whether we use post-consumer resin to produce our bottles, it means like the bottle has been recycled before we use in our production, or we will collect our plastic waste and also reproduce into other products. Chị Ngân, our head of procurement, is a great member of this agenda. So if you're also interested about sustainability, reverse logistics in supply chain and other stuff, feel free to ask chị Ngân throughout our conversation at a later stage. And there's something that we're really proud of that we has been doing, is that we want to plant 1 million trees in Vietnam. So this is all together helping to make Unilever in Vietnam and also in other countries all over the world be a really sustainable business that can last for 100 years and even more. But what we really also want to share with you is that the final pillar, people with purpose will last. People with purpose will thrive. Why we're asking, why we're saying so? We are right now in the doorstep of all of the changes. We know that digitalization has changed everything that we are doing. With all of the COVID-19 pandemic, we know that a lot of AI and automation has been brought into. So many things that we have not experienced in the past, but now we experience today, like hybrid workplace, like what we are having in today's Recruitment Week. Instead of you coming into one of the theater at RMIT Saigon South campus or in Hanoi campus and hearing from the conversation with Unilever and having a chance to interact with us, now we having this digital platform that we can connect. If I'm not mistaken, almost 200 students here already. So all of these things is changing. And what we greatly believe is that in order for people to thrive in this kind of future of work, whereas a Vietnamese talent, whoever can stay in Vietnam, but can also work for other company all over the world. You can also stay in Unilever Vietnam, working for Unilever USA or in Singapore, and all stay in Vietnam together with your families. That is normal in the future of work. But there is one thing that's really essential, is that we helping all of the employees here at Unilever discovering the purpose, the meaning of your work that help you feel great every day waking up and coming to work full of energy. As part of that one, all of the employees here at Unilever having a chance to participate in our Discover Your Purpose workshop, and therefore finding the link between the meaning of your life to the meaning of your daily work. Well, I'm not going to talk so much about that one. So that will be some sneak peek for you later on if you join Unilever to work, and I really, really want you having a chance to join with us. So that's why we are here today. We're calling for all of the students, the purposeful Vietnamese talent, like what we call, to become the next future leader as Unilever. I have the final video, which is extremely short, just to recap about what we are looking for in this Unilever Future Leaders Program. Apply by 21st of November, which is next Sunday. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that. We're talking about Unilever Future Leaders Program. So if you are a final year student or alumni, you probably have heard about Unilever Future Leaders Program, one of the most prestigious management training program in the market. But if you haven't got a chance to aware of this program, especially for first year student and second year student, please. This is one of the very famous program and also one of the greatest milestone for you to start your very first job without any of experience, because we normally thinking about, like the first job you have a lot of experience, but for management training program, this is the great pathway that require almost zero experience for you to work with. This is actually the 24th year of Unilever opening the Unilever Future Leaders Program. And throughout our 24th year history, we have been developed more than 300 leaders, not only for Vietnam, but also for other companies all over the world. The program of Unilever Future Leaders Program is opening in the 6th function. In customer development, you normally aware like sales function, business analyst, business development, business solution. We also opening in supply chain for manufacturing, for non-manufacturing like logistics, supply chain management, in finance, in human resources, and of course, in marketing. And the eligibility is extremely simple. Vietnamese graduate with less than 2 years experience, bachelor and or master. So if you are graduating from RMIT in this year or in early 2022, or you already graduate from RMIT but having less than 2 years experience, you can always apply to the Unilever Future Leaders Program. The requirement is simple. GPA 2.9, more than 2.9, which means like the GPA from 3.0 onwards, upwards for RMIT, with a little bit of English proficiency, which I'm sure all of us are qualified already. So just two more slides to talk about the program. Unilever Future Leaders Program is a very enhanced and accelerated program to help every fresh graduate to become a fully future leader within 2 years. So the program, we're having a chance for you to expose with different function in the company apart from the function of your choice. So for example, if you already having a passion in marketing, in finance, or in customer development, we will all having a chance to rotate to customer development function, the function of front end, where you can experience all of the work, how you can generate the money and revenue for the company and understand how the market looks like before going back to the home function. Here you can have 2 or 3 rotation, functional rotation, depends on the function of your choice. So let's take an example. If you are interested in customer development function or sales function, apart from the CD rotation that take you the first 4-6 months, depends on the role, you will also have a chance to rotate in other functions in customer development or going to marketing to experience one of our stint over there before coming back and graduate at the manager in year 2. So that is a very short recap of all of the rotation roadmap that we're gonna have. If you want to know more about our rotation roadmap and also the experience of the Future Leaders Program, feel free to ask us throughout the conversation later on. And of course, here at Unilever, we have a lot of supporting network, including mentors, the development team of UFOB, the HR team, and also a lot of world-class learning resources from INSEAD, from Degree, and from other institutions you can count on. And the selection process is a little bit lengthy. If you're considering a selection process for Unilever Future Leaders Program. However, it's not that difficult, and we will share with you a little bit more about the tips on how we can successfully going through this round. So there are 5 rounds actually. The first round is the application form, which we already opened, and we will close the application form by Sunday midnight next week. We will also got a chance to go through those who passed round 1. We go to round 2, which is the online test based on numerical and also a little bit of verbal test. Those candidates who successfully passed round 1 and round 2 will go to round 3, a digital overview interview with other candidates and one-on-one with the assessor. In round 4, you will be participate into a discovery center, a full day with all of the experience with leadership here at Unilever and other candidates joining with you to select the final winners who become the Unilever Future Leaders Program. All of the onboarding and job offering may start from May 2022 onwards. So imagine if you're participating into Unilever Future Leaders Program 2022, by that holiday, you will already receive an offer and secure all of your study at RMIT before we can officially onboard in May. So it's a very great ambition, isn't it? Securing a job even before graduate. So, and UFLB 2022 are actually opening now and recruiting for the whole 2022 year. So if you are graduated in around, like first 6 or 9 months of 2022, I would highly suggest and recommend you to participate in this year Unilever Future Leaders Program rather than waiting for end of 2022 to participate in the following year recruitment program. Well, I did promise to you to share with you a little bit tips on how you can successfully going through the selection process. So let me first go over quickly just a few tips for the first 3 rounds. Let's talk about application form then. I'm aware that in the question that that you already submitted to us, there's a few questions on CV and application form. So for Unilever Future Leaders Program, there is an application form with the questions whereas you can input on. And one of the like specialties and also a very unique part of the application form of Unilever is that there are three essay questions at the end of the application form. So the tips for this is actually very simple. Do a lot of reflection so that you can understand, your strength, your weaknesses, your career choice, and also how would you want to develop in the future. And put all of the reflection onto the essay and the way that you sharing your profile. And I think this will make us understand you so much more. The second tip is try, although you already finished reflection, please find a way to tell a story in a very robust way, short, sharp, but also able to share who you are and why we should choose you. And for that, I think the final tip is extremely important. Find your edge. What is the thing that makes you differentiate from other people? It could be a very simple way, but unless you can find, like your edge and put it in your CV, it is very difficult for us to like distinguish yourself between a lot of candidates. So reflection, tell a robust story, and throughout the story, feel free to find your edge and put your edge over there. For online tests, so I know this is one of the most difficult part and concerning part of most candidates, whereas you have to go through a lot of numerical tests and other tests in a very short form. But the tips is actually simple. Feel free to read the instruction carefully and trying to find a zone for you. So if you're aware of the concept called deep work, you probably aware that like you need to practice your mind a little bit, practice your neuron, and then experience the tool for yourself. There's actually a lot of practice tests that you can find on the market and experience that before taking the online test officially. So my personal tip for you for this part is actually just very simple. Find the most suitable space. It should be a private, free from all of the noise, and then practice your neuron before you actually completing the online test. You will be amazed. Actually, we are more smart than we normally think. I really scared of the online test as well. But luckily, I'm going through that. And finally, for the digital initial interview, and this is where we got a chance to meet you face-to-face. Well, not face-to-face, virtually for the very first time. So my simple recommendation is just to bring an open mind, come prepared, and be your best self. And what I really highlight is be your best self and don't try to be someone else. We really interested into your own personal story and what makes you comes to Unilever and choose Unilever as the future employer. So please come with us and share with us that best self of yours. So I think that's all for my sharing. I know that it takes a little bit more than 30 minutes, but hope that you can understand a little bit more about Unilever. I will save the next part for the panel discussion, whereas you can ask real questions for our panelists over here. So let me, can I just stop sharing from my screen so that we can see the guest speaker. So chị Ngân, Sebastian, and Nhân, can you show your camera and unmute yourself and say hi to the team?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Great, I can hear you very well, Ngân.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Seb. Okay, so I think let's first warm up the conversation a little bit so that the student from MIT can put up the question. Let's do a little bit of introduction then. A very simple technique for introduction. Can you just share with us your name, how many years you have been with Unilever, and there's a fun question and your current role. I also have a fun question for you, which is what is the brand or the product that you most love at Unilever?
Oh, God.
So whoever wants to start first, just feel free to share.
Young, go first.
Okay, cool. Afternoon, everyone. I'm Nhân, or Nhân Mai. Mai is actually my family name. 29 years old. Year February of 2016. I've been in Unilever for almost 5.5 years right now. Currently, the senior brand manager of Lifebuoy and some of the brands right now. Most beloved brand. I shall not name those who I have worked before, including Omo and Lifebuoy. So aside from those two, I think next in line should be Dove. That's one of my brand I really like. Okay, afternoon everyone. So let's just kick this up. Chị Ngân, do you want to follow up with that?
Okay. Thanks, Young. Very interesting introduction. So hello everyone. My name is Ngân. I am now currently handle Euro Vietnam procurement. I have been working for Unilever starting from the GFAB program from 2008 until now. So 13 years. Yeah, and what brand I am working for? I'm working for every brand because I have to buy all of the products relating to the brand. But my favorite brand is Dove. And yeah, because I love the purpose of the Dove that is always beauty as yourself. For Lifebuoy, yes, but it's the second role. Yeah. Okay. Over to Sebastian.
Yes, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Very nice to connect with all of you. I'm Sebastian. I'm Dutch. I'm not Vietnamese, as you can see. I'm responsible for finance for home care. So I do the turnover, profitability, pricing of brands like Omo, Comfort, and Vim. I've been in Unilever 9 years already. Worked in 5 countries. So I had quite an international career in Unilever within 9 years. And my favorite product, from a work perspective, I would say Omo. It's my biggest brand. I love Omo, but actually personally, I really like Walls because I just love ice cream. So Walls is my favorite one.
Okay, beautiful. So yes, I think that will be great, and hopefully that will help the audience over here and having a chance to know you a little bit better. I know that we will probably wanting to ask the very first question. So let's go straight to the Unilever Future Leaders Program then. Among many other recruiting positions at Unilever, management trainee has always been one of the most highly demanded roles and also the signature of Unilever. And here we call Unilever Future Leaders Program. Talking from the perspective of the person who has been through the program, which is Nhân and Chị Ngân. Can I just first ask the question to Nhân? Why did you choose Unilever Future Leaders Program instead of other, like position, career path, and also other company?
If I said this is the only company that give me the offer, that would be terrible. But no, I actually when I was trying to apply for marketing, because I think the love of marketing in me just grew after I studied from university, and actually Unilever is my second job, not my first job per se. I work in business analysis for BCG previously that, and then that is where I think I realized my love for marketing is bigger than looking into numbers and finances. Sorry, Seth. So I decided to join for marketing, and that's where I started to apply your FLP and other management training program. Rather than just that, I think the whole process of applying to Unilever makes me realize one thing, that this is where marketing can actually shine. That if I got through a lot of different recruitment process and listen to a lot of different questions people ask and how people put up for like discovery centers, testing subjects and things like that. There's always a very clear things in Unilever that they always take a step back and look into how a certain brand can bring values into the lives of our consumers. That's always the biggest question that we need to answer. And that makes me realize that if I want to pursue for marketing, this should be the place where I should be. And the second reason is that actually all my household products is from Unilever. Well, actually all of it. Prior to me going to Unilever, my mom has been using Omo and Lifebuoy since forever ago. And I think that's actually speak volumes into what a marketing brand can do. And I told myself that if I really want to study marketing, this should be the place. Well, Unilever has been known for being the best marketing company in Vietnam and in the world. So if you want to study marketing, there's no other place where you can be. Hence my reason joining Unilever. And
Yeah.
up until now, after 5.5 years, never in a single second of my life I ever doubted that decision. And so now I'm still very happy to work for Unilever.
Great, thank you very much, Nhâm. Like for my case, actually I have never thought about joining Unilever at the very first place. I still remember vividly that when I was in RMIT, I did say to my friends that I will never apply to company like Unilever or P&G to work. But a few days later, I received a call from Unilever, and that's just the start of the whole journey. But anyway, not talking about that experience because it seems so bad promoting about a company. Okay, let's moving to the next question. I think we go a little bit more experience in this case. Chị Ngân, the question is for you. So for the role as like an ex-Unilever Future Leaders Program, and now you are developing generation of UFLB already. But like working for a company more than 10 years is really a long time. So just we would like to know like what has been the most impressive experience you got to experience like throughout the whole journey. It could be at the time that you were UFLB, throughout your whole career here at Unilever.
Yes, just share you that whenever we have the friends reunion, that everybody just ask me, are you still in Unilever? They also ask me that, are you is there any boring thing there? But who and what and how that you still there? Because normally for the FMCG that the people will move around after 3 to 4 years. And to be honest, and I also shared to everyone who asked me about that question, I just shared 2 key points, a lot of points. So I can classify by 2 points. The first is about the dynamic and empathy environment. The dynamic key is that you have a lot of job to do, a lot of workload, and I hardly to find well-being at the first time when I joined Unilever. But empathy is here that I can feel that the leader will give you a lot of work to try and stretch you, but also empathy for what mistake that you do. So that is the very positive energy that can make the young graduates, can feel to perform. And second is about the empowerment. That is at the very first months that I joined the home function after rotation, that the team gave me a big project, the big and very, very challenging project. And that's why that I feel a little bit, I need to have more oxygen sometimes, during the work. But after that, the team, the leader gave the empowerment for the newcomers, and also that gave the support during the way. So that's the two key points that I feel that I'm still very dynamic and still very powerful after being empowered by the leaders. And that's why that so far that maybe I can get tired, but I have not ever been boring, honestly.
Thank you very much, Chị Ngân. I actually wanted to ask the second question, but there's I see one question that really related to the sharing that you just mentioned about the leaders that actually help crafting us to the person we are today. So a very good question from Linh Chu. So appreciate for the question. May I ask, among your fellow co-workers at Unilever, who inspire you to be the person that you are today? So I guess this could be the questions to Sebastian first, and then chị Ngân and Nhâm.
Who inspired me? I think the thing is, in Unilever, I think I've met a lot of inspiring people, either as peers or either as managers. And over those years, I would not say there was one person. I would say there were many people that are very inspiring. Sometimes line managers that motivate me to do something that I didn't believe myself I couldn't do. Sometimes peers that always try to help you when you're in difficult moments, or sometimes you have a line manager or even a higher leader in the organization who really has a vision of how he wants to do something, which for me was groundbreaking. So I don't think there was one person. I think it's a lot of great leaders within Unilever that really inspired me over all those years. in finance, and I think also outside finance. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So one of the I actually I have a lot of great experience with many leaders in Unilever, but I can share you one person that is the VP marketing, VP procurement currently. That when I joined Unilever, that he was the regional procurement manager, and then after time to time that he got promotion to a higher level. He really made the very big impression to me as a young graduate, that very caring and very harsh at the same time. That caring to the people and knows every people in the team, including the contract, FT, non-FT, or everyone in the team. Harsh is mean that harsh in the details. It means that as a leader, that he has to be fluent in every details, and that makes the person as me today. Because when I looked at the numbers, I did that into the details, and more details I get from the peers, that the trust that we can get from other peers as well. Yep.
Amazing. Thank you, Jika. And Young?
I will have a very different answer now, because you guys have been talking about leaders of Unilever, but I'm swear to God they are among one of the very few inspiring people that I actually being blessed to know in my life. But one of the cases I would love to mention is actually, in my case, consumer is the one that inspired me to be the person I am today. When I was working in Omo, there was a very big case in Omo when we decided to switch from, about dirt is good, and we talk about deforestation and I started planting trees. There was one consumer group that I was talking to, and she was hugely affected by the flood in the central area. She was crying. There was a lot of tears, and she was just screaming for help. And I think that is at the moment I feel like whatever we are doing right now is actually making sense to a lot of people, and we are helping a lot of other people. And she right there inspired me a lot, and the team. And so keep on pushing for planting trees at the defensive forests to prevent from those floodings and disaster ever happen again. So every single moment here and then when I talk to consumers, it's always they also have a sense of inspiration that I can take, and then that actually help perfect the way that we are working in the marketing team now today.
Thank you, Young. And you actually mentioned a very amazing period that we, here the world at Unilever is not stagnant, it's changing every time. And every time it's changing, it's leading to a better future, what we believe we call leading the coming future that we have. So I would like to extend the topic that we are having right now a little bit beyond the Unilever Future Leaders Program. We look into the function that we are having and how this function has, transformed over years, so that we can matching to the theme that we are asking today is Build Your Edge, Lead the Future. So if you could just, pick up a few sharing to mention the development or the transformation that the function has done over the last few years to prepare for the coming future. So what would it be? So the question is to all three of you. Whoever wanted to start first, just feel free to kickstart the sharing.
Young first.
Okay.
Thank you for dedication.
I think marketing is an easy one to spot, isn't it? The way that we move from we move all the way from marketing 1.0. So now we have marketing 4.0, and then we are about to have a marketing 5.0 in the running. It's actually amazing on how we can actually change over the years. We usually start to talk about TVC and the newspaper and everything you talk. People we starting to accept things as it is, in the 90s and in the early 20s. And then you have internet picking up. You're talking about a lot more platforms, a lot more touch points for our consumers, whereby you're not only creating one asset, you're creating thousands of different assets to reach different people with different contextual relevance. And we step into the age of hyper-personalization, as you know right now, that everyone wants to be treated differently and treated according to what we are and how we behave on digital space. So we take up into digital optimization. We're talking to digital precision marketing, targeting marketing, how we can identify a certain behavioral traits of your consumers based on several things that they put up in their digital footprint, and trying to pull out a very cohesive and a compelling story for them to be converted into your product. That is a huge zone of data-driven marketing that we're working on right now, whereby we are not only using the data, it's just really available for us from like Google and Facebook, but also trying to build our own first-party data system, whereby we collecting data from our consumers and trying to make sense of data. And from that data, it's actually kind of, put them into different groups, and each of groups we actually have a different marketing modeling just to approach to them. The differences that we're seeing today is also being led by a huge marketing wave that, back then only the 5 or 6 brands doing marketing. Now everyone can do marketing. Even retailers can do marketing, or a stay-at-home mom can also do marketing on their social commerce and everything. So it's actually opened up into a zone of huge information bombarding into our consumers. So being able to stand out is actually very, very hard these days. It's not just about you putting money on where it actually matters, but also you're putting a lot of creativity, content, and relevancies into every single asset that you're doing right now. So I think that is a huge way that marketing has been moving up. And when you talk about futures, we're talking about metaverse that Mark Zuckerberg had just talked about. It's going to be huge, changing the way that marketing will, or a brand approaching a consumers. Now, you're not only talking about, going to shoppings at supermarkets, not only at Lazada or Shopee, you're going to social commerce. You actually have a Zalo group that's just selling product right there. That's a lot of way that you're purchasing right now. So we need to know where to hit and how to hit them in the right way. So I think that is a big movement that we're seeing, and it's actually happening very fast.
Thank you very much, Young. And I hope the story does inspire and also, unveil a little bit about the work here at marketing at Unilever. Okay, so probably we move next to Chị Ngân for procurement and also supply chain in general, and then with Sebastian for finance. So Chị Ngân.
Yeah. Okay. So in fact, that the change of the future fit procurement as well as the future fit supply chain has been taking place in Unilever for more than 3 years. And currently, that there are some more projects to be shaped in. For the supply chain, that we have the data transformation. That when we have the visibility from the customer to the supplier. And that's why that never happened before. If, for example, in the past that we have to take around 1 more week for having the new demand, from the customer to the supplier. But right now that we can have it only in 1 day. So this is a very big revolution data flow that we are having now. So to adapt with the new demand for the market, or to adapt with the new campaign from the competitors. Yep. And the second is about specifically for procurement, that now we can have the visibility of the cost of the and the value chain. It means the cost breakdown of each material of each country, and one country can see all the countries as well. So this is the all of the, you can see that data they have broken all of the barriers in terms of the data, in terms of the information, and then we can using that for the e-tender, for the negotiation as well. So this is a very big gap, from the last year versus previous years. So those are the kind of the revolution that we are very proud that we can bring the real value to the consumers, because the more the cost that we can purchase well, that the more competitive price that the consumer they can get. Yep.
Thank you very much, Chị Ngân.
Let me share. So I think in 9 years in finance, I think finance made a massive transformation over the last 5, 6, 7 years. I think it's very exciting, more exciting actually than what Nan was telling about marketing. But let me explain a little bit what is the difference. I think when I started Unilever 9 years ago, we worked with the system. And actually, when we are working right now in finance, the system works for us. what does that mean? When I started 9 years ago in finance, I spent a lot of time, calculating things in the system, putting things into the system. We had a lot of data, but we had so much data we didn't know what to do with it. So we spent a lot of time data handling and a lot of repetitive tasks, which were actually, quite boring, to be honest. And also, you spent a lot of time just data handling. If I now look back 9 years later, we have things like RPA, which is the automation of activities. So previously you had to manually fill in data into the system. That's now all automated. The forecast, how much are we going to sell in this month, in this region, is now all based on machine learning. So we take all the old data and then the machine tells us what we should forecast. And then also previously, we had all the data and then we need to spend a lot of time on getting the insights. Actually now, every time of the day, I can just take on my iPad or my mobile phone. I can see on all the automated dashboards that we have. I can see what's the profitability of this product there. So it's super exciting, where previously you spent so much time on the data handling. Now we can the data is already there. The system is doing that for us in the digital transformation. And now we can really spend time on, what are the insights? What are the actions that we can take? What is the story that we can take out of the data? And I think that's very cool. And with that, I think that's the digital transformation. I think what is also quite exciting is you constantly need to upskill yourself, because if you stay in the old finance way and you don't grow with how finance is changing, then it will also be difficult to adapt. So I think upskilling yourself is also very exciting, where you start with Excel and then you have not completely new programs now to do finance. So yeah, that's it for me, digital transformation.
Thank you. Perfect, Sebastian, and thank you, chị Ngân and chị Nhân very much for the sharing. With all of those changing, so let me first having the final pre-prepared questions before we go into the open Q&A. All of the changing, of course, the Unilever Future Leaders Program need to, changing and upskilling as well. So for those candidates who are going to participate into UFLP, what are you looking for from them? So maybe just 1, 2, 3 keywords from each of you. What are you looking for in the next batch of Unilever Future Leaders Program candidate? What kind of characteristic, behavior, experience or thing that you would expect from them so that they can successfully build their edge and leading the future?
Wow, tough question. It's like giving me the answer key. But I think the number one thing that usually I picked up, not on CVs, but also in interviewing, is actually attitude, humbleness, the way that they write their stories on how they successfully achieve certain things. You may not know this, but when we read your essay, we can tell that what's the attitude towards certain things and certain aspects of your life. And I really honor that part. So attitude is always the biggest thing that I will look for into the UFLP. Number 2 is a very clear motivation and drive. And drivers, you know exactly what you want, what motivates you, how do you want to become successful in life, and what will actually keep you going for this. Because UFLP, like we share, is actually a very interesting journey. It's not an easy journey. So if you don't have any motivation built up into you yet, you don't know what's your goal in the end of the line yet, I'm not sure that you're going to make it, but I would prefer that you have, so that we can build you towards your direction. It's not just about us. It's not just about us helping you become a better version of yourself, but you have to do that too, because you have to understand what you want and how you want to do it. Last but not least, specifically for marketing, I think a very strong sense of digital and data for me is now very crucial in marketing right now. You know what to use the data from, how you approach a certain consumers, and how utilizing digital marketing space to your advantage. That is a space that we call in economics is a very low barriers of entry. Hence, you need to be very outstanding there. So I think I would looking for, if you ask me about top 3, that would be my top 3.
Thank you very much. So just want to read before, so motivation and drive, attitude, and digital and data knowledge. So recorded that and be prepared. So Seb, over to you, Sebastian.
Yes, for me, 2 things I think to add. One is curiosity. So I think it's very important that when you join Unilever, we're such a wide company with many different things. I think curiosity is very important. Curiosity in what you're doing, curiosity in learning, curiosity in learning not only about finance, for example, but also about marketing, also about supply chain. Explore new things and be open to that. I think that is very important. And the second one is entrepreneurial mindset. What do I mean with that? In Unilever, I think you get a lot of freedom in your role. You can set your own agenda. You can set your own priorities that you have, and you also need to be able to do that. So you really need to think about every decision that I take. What should I do if it's my own business? What is right for the business? So if you have that entrepreneurial mindset and you really want to do what is right for the business, I think it fits really well into Unilever.
Perfect. Thank you, Sebastian. And chị Ngân?
Yeah, very, very like the answer from Young and Sebastian. And I have totally agree. And I just add on here that that currently that your generation is more luckier than other generations because you have everything in your hand. So it would be a very waste of resources that if you don't have a well preparation for your future right now. So the most impressive for when I do any interview for the EFLB that how much knowledge. I have to say knowledge because we cannot expect experience from the fresh graduates. But I need to will be impressed a lot with your research, with your ability to learn, with your curiosity on what the candidates are showing, with the confidence. So that's really impressive.
Thank you very much, chị Ngân and Sebastian and Young. For all the student and the team on the call, so I hope you can see the connection over there. There's nothing related to experience. It's really much about all of the things that you probably have learned, have developed throughout your whole journey. And I think that's also the essence of the program like this one, because we're looking for young and fresh graduates rather than those with experience. And we believe that from there we can develop into a successful future for the coming future. So I think that would be all of the questions that we have for us. Now let me go through the Q&A box. So if you have specific questions related to the experience that one of the three guest speakers have, or anything related to the selection process or the UFLB program, feel free to drop in on the chat box and we will go through one by one. I think we covered the questions of Linh Chu already. So perhaps the difficult question from Mr. Melvin. How would you describe the Graduate of Future Leaders program, and would be nice to know how have they developed throughout the program. So probably the questions for chị Ngân and Sebastian, as you has developed numbers of UFLB throughout your whole journey at Unilever. Is there any common thing that you can see from the UFLB? How have they developed throughout the whole journey?
So okay. I will go first. Okay. That's I'm not sure if there's an echo.
No, I can hear you well.
Okay, good. The observation that I have been observing from the GFLB that they are more realistic during the journey. At the first time that they are more eager, to be the future leader. I am ready to be a manager in one day, and I'm very, can do anything. Very a high can-do spirit. And after during the rotation, during the journey, that they know more about the business challenge, and they put their own hearts and their own eyes on the numbers, change, opportunity, obstacles, everything. And they are shopping like the entrepreneurship more by the end of the journey of the UFLB. That's what that's what also is expected from the leaders of Unilever as well for the UFLB.
Yeah, maybe to add, so I think the things that we mentioned before, what are we looking for the UFB candidates, I think covers a big part of it. But I think, first of all, there is not one profile of UFB that we are looking for. Unilever diversity is very important. So there's not one standard profile. That's one. We just search the right person that fits into the role. That's one. Second of all, I think solution oriented. So when you join as a ULP and you get a certain task or a certain job, always focus on what is the solution I want to drive, what is the action I want to drive, because if you spend too much time on just discussing things, we will not get there. And actually, Unilever is a fast-moving consumer goods company. Fast-moving, that's what it said. So we move very fast. So always think about, okay, what is the action we can drive? What is the solution we can drive? And I think maybe another one is embed yourself in what you're doing. So for example, I do finance for home care. So I'm finance, but still what I'm trying to do is embed myself into marketing, into all the other things. And also the ULPs that really do well, they really embed themselves into the job that they're doing. So to really understand end to end what the job is about.
Thank you very much, Seth and Chị Ngân. So hope the questions can satisfy Mr. Melvin, and hope that you can understand a little bit more about how would a candidate be developed throughout a UFLB program. I know there's a few questions related to, so let's first start with some simple question where HR can answer while our guest speaker can take some break. I know there's some question related to how many people be selected for each of the departments. So the answer is simply I cannot tell. However, be assured that for Unilever Future Leaders Program, we would prioritize the fit and also the quality of the candidate rather than the quantity that we usually have. So if you are a fit candidate, be sure that you will get the role and no need to worry about all of the other factors. I know there's another question related to can international students apply for the jobs? So because Unilever is a global organization, so there are some certain rules and responsibility that we have to commit to each of the country. So the Unilever Future Leaders Program is only open for the country whereas the company is operating. So it means like Unilever Vietnam Future Leaders Program can only open for Vietnamese students. But also other Unilever across the globe also having the Unilever Future Leaders Program opening throughout the year. So you can feel free to find the suitable company to apply for. But rest assured, there's a lot of Unilever globally opening Unilever Future Leaders Program. And I'm seeing questions related to GPA. So I hope that you already pick up that in some of the sharing from the team. GPA is just a very, very small part of all of the selection criteria that we have. And rest assured that Unilever as a very gender inclusive as well as a free from bias organization. Our selection process has been designed in order to accumulate all of the aspects and not just GPA alone. And if the GPA criteria, if you does not meet the GPA criteria or the experience criteria, there's also other opportunities for you to join with Unilever. Our internship program is normally opening at around March and September every year, starting from 2022 onwards. And we will contact with all of the career center of each university to inform about the opening position for the internship program. Apart from the internship program, there's of course other opening position where you can feel free to find it on LinkedIn or in Vietnam World. So that is the two main channels where we post our opening jobs. And hopefully that will answer your questions. I see questions from Hanoi student. How do the contextual factor? Yeah, I think this is a really great question. How do the contextual factors of COVID-19 post-pandemic recovery impact on your recruitment criteria? Or if we paraphrase it a little bit, how would you assess candidate differently after the COVID-19 pandemic and also the contextual factor like the recovery period? So can we start first with Chị Ngân then?
Okay. Yeah, that's a very good question. You know that COVID is COVID, and we still need to sell our products and to reach to our beloved consumers, right? So that's why that we still need talent, and the criteria for talent is unchanged, just a little bit different, because during the COVID that we found that the people with more resilience will be more sustainable, successful in the future. So so during the scanning for the candidate CV or scanning via the interview, that there are some aspects that the interview will assess on the resilient capability of the candidate, because it is useful for the business when you join Unilever.
Thank you, chị Ngân. So how about you, Seth? How would you assess the candidate differently, considering all of the contextual factors that we have in?
Yeah, so I think the core job is still the same. That doesn't change. The core requirements also stay the same. But I think the big difference is the digital soft skills that you now need to be into the organization. The simple thing is that previously we were all together in one office. And now we have so-called hybrid working. At the moment, we're not in office because of COVID, but in the future, we will go to office maybe 2, 3, 4 times a week, and 1 to 2 days a week, we have the opportunity to work from home, for example. Which means that previously, you sat next to each other in meetings or in discussions, but in the current way, we all work virtually. Which also means that there's a massive amount of tools that can help you. I think, your university already uses Teams, which I think is great. We also use it in Unilever. But make sure that you leverage the tools to communicate, to collaborate, to really brainstorm together. Because I think that tools can really help you in the current, hybrid working that we have with COVID.
Thank you very much, Seb. So from an HR perspective, let me share with you a little bit more. The selection process of Unilever take into consideration a lot of the contextual factors. So whether it is in a digital interview or in discovery center or in the final interview, we may also touch on a lot on the social, like information, whereas you can find on the internet, and how would those on of social in contextual factors impacting on the business. And I think that is really great for the student to having that kind of questions, and it would be great if you can also bring in that view with you through our selection process, and definitely it will bring you a lot of opportunities and advance for the team. And I think what Sebastian just mentioned is really interesting because we are now in a hybrid workplace. You can imagine, even though we may, like based in Ho Chi Minh City, in Hanoi, even you go back to your hometown, I don't know, maybe in Vĩnh Long, in Sapa, all of the provinces in Vietnam, we are actually working virtually. And I think that is a great opportunity. Previously, for Unilever Future Leaders Program, it is required for the candidate to base mainly in Ho Chi Minh City. In some function, whereas we have the role based in other locations like finance in Hanoi, then this is also open for the candidate. However, it is too soon to say because with all of the hybrid workforce like we are having today, it is very likely that you can also base in other region in Vietnam and working for Unilever as part of Unilever Future Leaders Program. But I would say please expect mobility, because throughout the whole journey, there are certain years that you need to base at one location and some other year you base at other location. And of course, thinking this is like a global opportunity, it could be also in another country. So mobility is really important, at least in the first few years of your career. So another question for chị Ngân. You are the star of today's section, chị Ngân ơi. Hello, Miss Ngân. I cannot find supply chain analytic position on Unilever website. Do the company have that job? And furthermore, do you think sustainable energy could be a part of supply chain department?
Okay, so there are two questions in one question. The first question is about the supply chain data analytics. We don't call it quite a general name, but each sub-function of supply chain, we have that role. And currently that we are having the project, digital project team that is currently run by the current team members, for example, the customer service or the planning team. So there is no separate function for digital analytics supply chain, but it will be defined by projects of by the function. For example, that if the candidate they join the customer service, that is a project of digital, that person will be allocated on that job based on her or his wish. Yeah. Because you know that we need to have a very quick, fast, and efficient digital application. We cannot build a new program and then merging with the operation later. It is not the smart way of working. So that's why that we always utilize the current resources with some additional, new, modern, advanced talent from UFLP to build the more successful program. And for the second question about the sustainable energy, that is let's be clear. Sustainable energy is not the mission of supply chain. This is the mission of the whole business. Yeah, and every function will contributing their ideas, will contributing their resources, their budget to do it, and the main people to do it, to execute that is under supply chain, and especially from factory team. That how much they are using the biomass, how much they balance the CO2 emission. The energy that they are using. So this is currently led by supply chain, but the mission is the whole business. Yeah.
Thank you, Chị Ngân, very much. Very detailed answer. And just to reiterate what Chị Ngân just shared, if you ever consider supply chain analytic position, please also do consider Unilever Future Leaders Program for supply chain, because that would leading you to one of the very successful roadmap. Because supply chain and because all of the data and analytics function is newly set up in Unilever over the last 2 years, that's why we haven't got that, specifically designed. But if you have that supply chain analytics as one of your trait and experience, and definitely that will be a lot of advantages for you applying to the Unilever Future Leaders Program. And every Unilever Future Leaders Program needs to have that kind of digital talent. So welcome to us if you're interested in that position. Okay, so I think that would cover. Okay, final question, I believe. I also have one question. When attending online business competition, should I value quality or quantity to make my CV outstanding? So perhaps question to Young first then. You are on mute.
Okay, sorry. Well, not a tough question for me though, but I always value quality over quantity per se. It's just about the depth of something that you know. And your quantity, that's something that we can always share with you. And believe me, there's a lot of different work streams you can take part in Unilever, and there will be a lot more other things that you can do. But I would love to take into the depth of it, into what, how depth of it, which actually you understand, and how would you be able to make it as a successful story. I have seen CVs only talking about one story and one incident in his or her life, and then just really make the best of it. That's actually very, very, very cool. So I think quality would be my go-to if you want to go for your CV, making your CV outstanding. I'm sorry I'm just gonna stop you for a while. As a lot of questions asking on inclusivity and diversities, I just want to make sure and show you one thing that, and then there's a big question that was kept with all due respect. Does Unilever provide equal working opportunity for the youth? The answer is yes. And we have to secure a certain level of GPA in order for you to make sure that we are of a certain requirement in order to apply for this position, because this would be the pipeline for you to be the next leader of Unilever. So for sure, we still have a certain minimal requirement for you to meet. But as long as those requirements are met, we treat you all the same. I'm not treating a 3.6 different from a 4.0 or the 3.8 different from 4.2. It's never going to be the case. As long as you pass on the requirement, that should be the first round of yourself. The rest, rarely we take a look into your GPA. It's more about what you write, what you're actually performing into the interview, and how you're going to do that. I know sometimes I say score, GPA is just a score, but at the minimum score, that is your first gate. After that gate, the rest we treat you all the same. So I don't think that you guys should be worried if you talk about your GPA or not. It's more about your experience, the capability you're offering. So hopefully that gives you a lot more confidence, because I believe every single one of us has a talent, has not been covered yet. Okay.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Young. And Lin Chu, yes, I think the questions has been slightly touched on. So for the question for candidates who have more than 2 years of experience, the answer is that you cannot apply to Unilever Future Leaders Program, which is the program opening for fresh graduate having less than 2 years experience. And consider this is like 2 years experience of the cumulative. So let's say if you actually sum up all of the experience of yours to 23 months instead of 24, you're still eligible to join Unilever Future Leaders Program. But if that's not the case, then of course there are also other opening position from Unilever. Not right now, but usually we will post those jobs on either two source of information, whether it is LinkedIn or in Vietnam World. So LinkedIn also linked with the Unilever career website. So that will be the main two sources of information about the job posting. So hope it helps. I think that would be all. Actually, there's the first question that I forgot to mention, and I think we can use this question as the final question. The question asks about what made your application different at that time. Well, we are all applying to Unilever one way or another. So if you can recall the experience and well, think about that one. What made your application different at that time from your own perspective? Anyone want to go first?
My essay, I think the only difference I would make is when I was applying for marketing, so I decided to do something very artistic. So I wrote my essay very long, and it's very passion based. So that's the only thing I can sell, So so it's just showing what's actually my goals, my future, my objective. I talked a lot about purpose and what I want to do, make a change in the society that I want to do. And I think that really makes a difference, because I remember the last interview question I got from my mentor, the VP marketing of home care at that time, was because in the 2016 there was a big flood in the central area, and she asked me, "We're on the flood that you're doing right now. If you're a brand manager, what will you do?" And that was the biggest question I received of the day. I think it was about 7 p.m. already. I was exhausted, but that question kept me alive, and I talked about it for like 15 minutes. And I think that is where the difference actually being made, at least for my case.
Thank you, Young. Very meaningful. Chị Ngân and Sebastian.
It's a very, very long time ago, so I don't know exactly anymore. I think, what is important, talk about yourself and talk about who you really are. Like Nan just shared, your grade is one, that's the first hurdle. After that, we're not that much interested anymore in your academic qualifications, but much more, who are you as a person? Who do you want to be as a person? And also, what I think is important, what did you do next to your study? Yeah, and that might be playing a music instrument, that might be doing sports, that might be charity, or that might be even working or having your own business. But make sure that you also share that, that you don't only focus on your hard skills, but also on the soft skills and really sharing who you are. I think that's very important. So when you do your application, really do that. Share about yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So I also trying to remember. Yeah, I think at that time I was so. Let me try to recap, because that Unilever is the biggest target for the year for me, while other companies like Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Nestle, I have applied each company at that time, but I utilize all of my time for Unilever. So that's I said that we need to be very well prepared at the first time. And I think the most important point is about the responsibility. Maybe I guess because I didn't have a chance to react. Maybe after this one I will recheck with my mentor at that time why she beat me up. But I guess that is because of the responsibility. Because during the interview that each people have been allocated for one different task, totally different beside the group assignment. And after I submitted the assignments, that I didn't hear any feedback yet. So at the last interview cycle, that at the very last round, before I stood up to get out from the room, I came back to the church and I asked, what is the feedback about my assignment, because I have been waiting for long. So that's what and then after that they give not a good answer to my assignment. They said that my assignment was so general, not precise enough. So that's what they didn't take. They didn't care to provide the feedback, because this was too bad. But after that, I'm satisfied. I said, okay, that at least I know what was the result. So I think that is the one of the point that the church, that they think that the responsible person very important for the future leader. I guess.
Well, I think that's probably the truth answer, because you are with us now and still with us after so many years. So probably that will be the right thing that we're looking for. So thank you very much, chị Ngân, Sebastian, and Young for joining with us in the webinar today. I think that will also wrap up all of the questions that we have. And I think it's really our pleasure to have a lot of RMIT students and lecturers joining with us today and understand a little bit more about Unilever and Unilever Future Leaders Program. So if you ever consider the program, feel free to follow us on Facebook, Unilever Careers. And then we will continue to provide further information regarding to the program selection tips, as well as a reminder for you to apply with us before Sunday next week. So hope that you enjoy the session, and thank you very much, RMIT Career Center, for helping us setting up the webinar.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All the best.
Everyone.
Thank you everyone for joining the session today. I think it's really helpful and insightful for all the students. So before we end the session, I would like to invite all the students to turn on your camera so that we can take a pictures together.
While you're turning on, I would love to see most of you in the interview round of UFLB, okay? So do apply. I'll see you there.
I see some students already turn on the camera. Yeah, so maybe later our guest speaker also see some faces again in the interview round. Hopefully. Okay. Okay. And in the meantime, I also drop in the link for those who want to know more about the UFLB 2022. So you can click on the link and also including the application link there. Okay. All right. So I see more faces on the screen already. Hope that all of you enjoy the session as much as I do. Okay. So all right, so maybe 30 seconds more, so then I will take a screenshot. All right, so I will count 1, 2, 3, and then smile. Okay. All right, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Thank you so much for your time, and hope that you enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good week ahead. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
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 Nice week.